Hello and welcome to our monthly report from Strasbourg. The human side of Parliament was very much in evidence this pre-Christmas session. Its president, Jerzy Buzek, awarded the Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought to Cuban human rights defender Guillermo Farinas. And MEPs voted on new procedures making life easier for couples divorcing or separating. They also voted on laws to combat human trafficking and discussed ways to make it easier for citizens to get involved in European politics. But with a summit of European leaders due to take place later in the week, much of the debate was concentrated on economic governance. Gunnar Larsson and Stephen Jones have this report.
In a heated debate over preparations for December's EU summit and treaty changes to establish a permanent European crisis mechanism, dividing lines on economic policies between Parliament's groups became obvious. Should Europe choose growth creation and fiscal responsibility, or more deficit and spiralling debt? Financial markets have made their stance clear, and the EPP group has long taken a tough line on economic governance in Europe. Group Chair Joseph Daul led his MEPs in the debate.
Ladies and gentlemen, what we need is a message of confidence that we will come out of this crisis, that we will have measures which will bring us back to growth. What we need are very specific measures, as those, for example, taken by the Barroso Commission to relaunch the internal market and to boost financial markets. What we need, as has been proven by the euro crisis, is more unity in the approach to our social and fiscal policies. That takes courage.
In the run-up to the summit, EU leaders were at odds over the need to increase the €750 billion fund set up to stave off the sovereign debt crisis, and over the introduction of Eurobonds. EPP Group Vice Chair Corinne Wortmann-Kool made clear Eurobonds alone will not be the solution to the structural challenges facing some member states.
In this time of crisis, we need to remember that the euro has served us well over the past 10 years, has provided stability, and that is why the euro should be more strongly defended. And that is something that should come out of the summit. We need to have more unity. Now, if we're talking about the permanent crisis mechanism or good economic governance, in this discussion we hear that Eurobonds seem to be the magic wand, and it seems like the snow will melt away with the Eurobonds. But we have to realize that there are obligations that come with the Eurobonds. We need more discipline.
Wortmann-Kool's call for discipline was characteristic for those MEPs from the EPP group taking part in the debate. All agreed financial stability within the Eurozone is essential for Europe to emerge stronger from the crisis, with the prospect of increased competitiveness, growth and job creation.
Standing next to an empty seat draped with a Cuban flag, European Parliament President Jerzy Buzek awarded this year's Sakharov Prize for Freedom of Thought to Cuban political dissident Guillermo Farinas. Unfortunately, the Cuban freedom fighter couldn't be there to receive his award, as he would not have been allowed to return to his home country. Instead, he sent a recorded message expressing his deepest hope that Europeans would not allow themselves to be deceived by gentle words from a cruel communist regime whose only aim is to benefit from the economic advantages a more lenient EU stance would afford them. Addressing those present at the ceremony, a crowd that included José Ignacio Salafranca, who was instrumental in drawing attention to Guillermo Farinas' plight, President Buzek said the same empty seat was there in Oslo 1 week ago during the awarding of the Nobel Peace Prize. He then made an appeal to the Cuban authorities.
Unfortunately, 11 people are still in prison in Cuba. There are also the husbands of the women in white. I appeal to the authorities of Cuba so that they will be immediately released. Activists such as Guillermo Farinas are being put in prison, but their voice is still being heard. The role of the European Parliament is to make it heard with more power, with more force.
MEPs also adopted 3 important pieces of legislation on combating human trafficking, international divorce and giving citizens the right to ask for EU legislation. In all 3 reports, the contribution of EPP group members was invaluable. Yanis Ografos and Chris Burns have this report.
Parliament approved legislation drafted by Slovak MEP Edith Bauer on preventing and combating trafficking in human beings and protecting victims this December. In her speech in plenary, Ms. Bauer underlined the stronger protection and assistance afforded to children during investigations as a result of the new proposals. She described how serious the problem is.
The current situation in trafficking is really worrying. The estimated volume is several hundreds of thousands of victims inside Europe, the second biggest crime-related business with an estimated profit of $32 million US. There are new trends in trafficking in human beings. We have more victims in forced labor. We have more victims coming from member states. And in addition, we have more children among victims. The estimated global share of child victims is between 40 and 50%. Recent report of OSCE called on the countries to change their perception considering human trafficking as a marginal phenomenon and instead encourage them to recognize it as a massive-scale modern-day slavery.
Enhancing cooperation between member states in the area of divorce and legal separation in the EU was the subject of a report by Polish MEP Tadeusz Zwiefka. He wants to simplify cross-border divorce and legal separation cases by making it clear what country has legal jurisdiction. 14 out of 27 member states participate in the cooperation procedure, which is expected to simplify what are difficult times for European couples. In a recent interview with EPP TV, Mr. Zwiefka pointed out the importance of this legislation for women especially.
It is very, very difficult for the weaker side, especially for women living abroad. They don't know the legal system in the country. Sometimes they don't know language, and of course it is a big problem for them. It's very important to give international couples, the possibility to have a choice about court, about jurisdiction.
Finally, Parliament approved a report on the European Citizens Initiative, which was established under the Lisbon Treaty. It provides an opportunity for European citizens to initiate legislation in a particular field after gathering 1 million signatures from a number of member states. EPP Group member Alain Lamassoure was responsible for the legislation in Parliament. EPP TV asked him whether there could be a danger that the Citizens' Initiative is hijacked by special interest groups and becomes just another form of lobbying.
Sûrement. Mais ça ne me fait pas peur. Du moment...
Certainly, but I'm not worried about that. What's important is that everything is transparent. Let's say there are drug companies or aircraft makers who want to use this procedure, who encourage citizens to use it and who finance it. Why not? As long as it's transparent and that the people being asked for their signature know that it's an initiative of a particular NGO, company or political party.
To find out more about this session's news, visit our website eppgroup.eu. In the meantime, we wish you a very Merry Christmas and we'll be back in the new year with the latest from Parliament. Bye-bye.